Jacob with your sports update. Tonight at 8, Game 1 of the World Series, the LA Dodgers travel to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. On the mound for the Dodgers, Blake Snell, and for Toronto, Trey Savage. In the NBA, the Cavs are back in action tonight, searching for their first win of the season on the road against the Brooklyn Nets at 7:30. And then tonight at 7, the Blue Jackets are hosting the Washington Capitals. The CBJ will look to get above 500 tonight after a 3-3 start to the season. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30 right here on The Fan. In NFL news, the New York Giants were assessed a $200,000 fine for violating the league's concussion protocol surrounding Jackson Dart this past weekend. Head coach Brian Daboll was also fined $100,000 and running back Cam Scadaboo $15,000 for conduct detrimental to the league. This update was sponsored by the Waterworks and Header Plumbing, Drain, Heating, and Cooling. Together to serve you better. Schedule today at thewaterworks.com. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Ring it up for Ohio State.
You've waited all day for this.
He's going to take it to the house. 85 yards. Down the right side going Devin Smith. Got it at the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown.
The one show that's nothing but the Buckeyes.
Oh! Grab record for the touchdown. Kraft shoots it high on the right for 3.
This is the Buckeye Show.
We got you for a sprint tonight here on The Fan, just a half an hour before we get into some Jackets hockey tonight. Be all raring to go for that one, but a bye week for the Buckeyes. Here to talk about it on Friday. I'm Matt Fontana. He, of course, Patrick Murphy, Bucknuts 24/7 Sports. Murph, happy Friday, man, but it's just going to feel a little weird this weekend with no Buckeyes game on their second bye, and I'm really excited to do this. You have a great article up about other games to watch tomorrow as an Ohio State fan, just to keep an eye on things. But again, I'm drawing my sorrows with some Blue Jackets hockey, some Cavs basketball, and some World Series tonight. I guess that's how it's just going to have to go.
Yeah, the nice thing is that it's a busy sports weekend. So even if you want to take a break from college football, and I don't know why you would. There's so much to watch with everything going on. The NBA's back, as Isaiah was detailing on the update there. I mean, you've got plenty to fill up your time if you want to sit in front of the TV and watch sports all weekend and don't just want to watch football.
Isn't it, I think Monday is whatever they call it, like the equinox, where like Monday you've got Monday Night Football at the NFL, you've got baseball, you've got hockey, you've got basketball. It's only like, I think it's the only day of the calendar year that's going to happen, so we'll be all geared up for that. But, you know, Murph, it's hard because, I'm going to watch college football on Saturday. I'm really excited about it. But, you know, the two buys and just kind of where we're at with college football, it just puts a damper on things. Like, it might be different if I wanted Ohio State to maybe slow down and get some things figured out, but I think they're playing as well as anybody in the country, and I don't want anything slowing that down right now.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at it. One is this is a good time to sort of rest up. The Buckeyes can reflect on what they've done so far this year. You know, they talk a lot about looking at tendencies during the bye week and you know, sort of picking those, looking at yourself as the opponent does and figuring out where you can be better. You know, with one of the topics this week has been the run game and can they get that going during this week off where you can spend a little bit more time when you're not preparing for an opponent. But there's the flip side of it. I think if you ask a lot of players, they want to play and, you know, they want to get out there, right? That's what they do. I know the first bye week that they had, we were asking guys after the third game of the season, and they were like, yeah, I wish we played next week because I'm not hurt. No one's banged up yet. This one probably comes at a little bit better time, but I still think most guys want to get out there. I think most fans want to watch, you know, the Buckeyes play. Now, I will say from a guy who covers the team, it is nice to have 2 weekends where I get to just hang out and watch college football, sure. But I know that's sort of a unique perspective, and I'm definitely not complaining about working in a, you know, press box and all that on a Saturday watching the Buckeyes play. So I would, if it's only one bye week, I can deal.
It's not bad to have a Saturday to crack a beverage and be able to watch a little college football. I know exactly where you're coming from on that one, Murph, so we'll be ready to go. And speaking of that, your latest article, you can always check it out on Bucknuts. And this one was so great because basically it's your viewing guide for tomorrow on games that, as an Ohio State fan, we should all be keeping our eye on, just kind of keeping tabs on things. And we'll start right there in the Big Ten, and one of the biggest ones because you're going to get big noon kickoff. And it's number 2, Indiana. They're hosting UCLA. And normally, Murph, and I think this is great that you put this at number 1 because you'd say, okay, this isn't going to be a game, right? UCLA started 0-4. They get rid of Deshaun Foster, but they just beat Penn State. Take that for what it's worth of if Penn State is really the team that we thought they were going to be. But I think really my attention on this one is more Indiana, because I'm not going to lie, as an Ohio State fan, I want the Hoosiers undefeated going into that Big Ten championship game because they don't play in the regular season. I kind of actually like that a little bit, and all signs are pointing to them meeting in Indianapolis for the championship game for the conference, and I would expect Ohio State to be favored in that game, and I'd feel confident about Ohio State winning that game. But I'd love it if Indiana was undefeated. So I'm going to be a big Hoosiers fan coming at noon tomorrow. Yeah,
absolutely. I think, it helps your resume, which, as you said, the Buckeyes may not need that because if they just keep winning, they'll be right where they want to be. But it's always good to have teams in the conference that are ranked and that you could meet up with. Plus, it's a cool story, right? I mean, last year, Curt Cignetti comes in, does what he does, gets them to the college football playoff. It doesn't go the way they want. But this year they've actually, gone on the road and beaten an Oregon, and they could be in the Big Ten championship game. An undefeated season in the Big Ten championship game. I mean, this isn't basketball we're talking about, right? This is Indiana football. So yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. If you haven't watched much Indiana, maybe you only watched that Illinois game earlier this season or the Oregon game. Now you can see them in a game that they'll definitely be favored in, but get an idea of what the Buckeyes might face coming down the line if these teams do meet in the Big Ten championship game.
One other quick one that you had in the Big Ten was Rutgers and Purdue, and that's strictly just because they're both on the Buckeyes schedule.
Right.
Again, neither one of those teams you would believe is a big factor, but still just something to keep an eye on. That game's tomorrow at noon on the Big Ten Network. We had outside of the Big Ten and a top 15 matchup here between number 8 Ole Miss and number 13 Oklahoma. And Murph, when you and I were talking about your article, and I was thinking about games, and I didn't even read your article yet. And you and I had the same exact thing where I was like, oh, I could totally see Ohio State playing one of those teams, hopefully after a bye for the Buckeyes as a top seed. But I do believe, I really think both those teams are going to make the playoff when it's all said and done. And depending on where their seeding is at, Murph, as you right here, so right on, and I agree with you, you could be seeing the Sooners or the Rebels taking on the Buckeyes here in round 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is an Ole Miss team that until a week ago was undefeated. They've got a couple good wins. Oklahoma obviously has the loss to Texas, but they've rebounded. If John Mateer gets healthy, he was looking like a Heisman guy early in the season before the hand injury. So I think these are two dangerous teams. I try not to be an SEC. Well, I'm definitely not an SEC homer, but looking at the rankings, you always see the SEC teams in there. So I didn't want to put too much into that. But I do think these are two good teams that could be, potentially in the Buckeyes' way in the postseason, assuming they continue on the trajectory. Now, one of these teams is going to lose, right? So you're going to have a team that gets knocked down a peg or two in this game, depending on how it goes. But with the way the playoff is, they can climb back in and be in the mix. Both the teams still in the mix for the SEC title as well. So I think, obviously, I think we are biased towards the Big Ten here, but I think this will be an interesting game. And look, if you're not feeling the Indiana game or the Indiana game gets out of hand early against UCLA, you can flip on over and check out this game, which I think will be a little bit closer.
Also, I'm really kind of interested in Lane Kiffin, and It's not like Sunday, or it's not like Saturday, depending on how that game goes. But there's just the Florida rumors. I was having a spirited debate with some people about the Penn State job, and I just got shot down. Like, Lane Kiffin doesn't fit Penn State, and I'm like, I think that'd be an interesting hire, there for the Nittany Lions, or he just stays at Ole Miss on what he's building up. But I think that's just such an interesting, intriguing part of the Ole Miss team this year. Is everybody seems to be pointing Lane Kiffin to specifically that Florida job, it seems like right now. But if they miss the playoff, does that spur him more to want to leave? Does he make the playoff and say, no, I'm good staying at Ole Miss? Like, there's a lot of that going on. Not necessarily that has anything to do with the Buckeyes, but just on the periphery of me, potentially with Penn State being an opening, that would actually kind of scare me if he went there, because I think Lane Kiffin's a pretty good coach.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we're all college football fans, right? And so when there's these opening jobs and guys are linked, I think people are interested in sort of where the musical chairs are going to end up, right? And yeah, I mean, if you are Ole Miss and you have had the season you've had this first half of the year, and then you don't end up in the playoff, I think Lane Kiffin definitely starts to think, well, maybe this isn't a place where I can win like I did, when I was an assistant in Alabama or whatnot. Well, we know Florida can do it. We've seen it in the past if they have the right guy, the resources that they have, the recruiting talent, right there down in Florida. So that might be something that spurs him. Who knows what he's thinking right now? I don't think you can ever get inside these guys' heads. He's had a good job, but if he does want to win and they can't get into the playoff again, I think you might look and see, could the Gators be a better option? Or Penn State, you're right. I mean, they've been right there. They were obviously in the semifinals last year, right? So that is, I would imagine that's probably secondary. He seems like he's going to stick in the SEC, but you're right. I think he could come up to Penn State, and that could be a guy that maybe takes them over the hump of where James Franklin had them.
Final two games you've got on your article, late ones. ABC, you got number 3 Texas A&M taking on number 20 LSU. Of course, the Aggies, the Buckeyes, and the Hoosiers, the only undefeated teams. So that one, kind of keep an eye on because, again, Texas A&M is borderline a lock at this point, in my opinion, just even kind of looking tough schedule to go. It's still the SEC, but I still think Texas A&M is going to make it. So keep an eye on that down the future. And then back to the Big Ten, NBC, 7:30 tomorrow night. It is Michigan State. And as you write, I think you're right. It's always good just to check in on the Wolverines, see how they're doing. There's games I watched that Bryce Underwood looks like the Bryce Underwood you thought. There's other games you go, what was that? Don't know. And even for Michigan, they're at 5-2, 3-1. Like, I want to just bury them and just say there's no shot. It's going to come down to that Ohio State game, which they're not going to win this year, and they'll miss the playoff. But, again, always interesting to watch a Big Ten game at night on NBC.
Yeah, I'm really interested to watch Texas A&M. I have not seen them other than highlights this year just because of timing of work stuff. So that's a game I will certainly have my eye on. But, yeah, the Michigan game, I try and at least watch some of the Michigan game every week. I think a lot of Buckeye fans have sort of one eye always on what's going on up in Ann Arbor, even if you're not watching every game. And this is their other rival, right? They're playing Michigan State. It's at Michigan State. So what does that look like in a game? Michigan State hasn't had a good season, but you never know with these rivalry games, as Buckeye fans know. I think it will be interesting just to see, how a guy like Bryce Underwood handles that kind of situation going on the road to, I don't know if it'll be a hostile Spartan Stadium given the way this season has gone there, but I do think it'll be a challenge in a night game. I've seen plenty of night games there that have gotten pretty crazy. So I think it's a good chance to look at two other Big Ten teams. I know Michigan State's not going to factor into Ohio State's season, but Michigan certainly will come the end of November.
Well, speaking of that unofficial second half of the season, Murph and I are going to take a look ahead. We'll talk about some of the players we've got our eye on for the Buckeyes in this second half. We'll also kind of work through some of the games coming up for the Buckeyes. It is the Buckeye Show right here on The Fan.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
At the Ohio Lottery, we make Keno fun, your way. That means every few minutes across Ohio, 20 out of 80 possible numbers are randomly picked. And if some of the numbers you picked match, voila, you're a winner. Keno doesn't require you to know a single thing about sports basketball or overs, unders, pluses, minuses, or lines, or whatever else. Keno is as simple as, did some of my numbers match? They did? Great. You just raked in some dough. There are more than 20 hours of Keno draws every day and thousands of places to play statewide. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Jeff Wensing.
October is National Higher Education Month, and we are coming together to celebrate Ohio's excellent colleges and universities. Our campuses must be welcoming spaces for all learners to reach their full potential and grow as critical thinkers and future leaders. We must stand together to stand up for higher education in Ohio.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
This time of year, it's all or nothing, and Toyota's got all you need during Toyota Truck Month. Now through November 3rd, get 2.99 APR financing on a rugged new 25 Tacoma. Excludes TRD Pro and Trail Hunter. Or lease a well-equipped 25 Tacoma SR5 for $269 a month for 36 months with $39.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey Buckeyes, I'm John Chabot with Surest, a digital-first health plan designed to make healthcare simple and affordable right here in Ohio. At Surest, we believe healthy small businesses are vital to our economy. That's why we're ready to give your small business a VIP opportunity through our small business sweepstakes. Winners will be recognized on the sideline at an Ohio State home football game. To enter, visit ohiostatebuckeyes.com/Surest. That's SUREST. Surest, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
They're trained. They're prepared.
Let's do it.
They're Ohio's undefeated plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling team. And they're here to tackle your problems. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Save time, reduce costs, and eliminate printer frustrations with Modern Office Methods, your award-winning managed print services provider. We know how to help your business reduce the cost of office printing by identifying necessary print and paper waste. We can improve your printer fleet and decrease the amount of printer frustration. Why wait? Start saving time and money today. Start with our comprehensive print fleet assessment by going to momnet.com and click on a free assessment.
The Fan has a new tailgate destination. Join us before every home game at the O Patio and Pub on Lane.
Sponsored by your Central Ohio Ford dealers, Jameson Whiskey and Coors Light.
See you Saturday, friends.
James Peoples here, running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. You have to check out the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to Buckeyes sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off select gear at the Ohio State Team Shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
The 2026 Buckeye Cruise for Cancer sets sail on the Silver Sea Silver Ray. It's an intimate ship with an even better experience. It's all-inclusive of beverages, shore excursions, taxes, and gratuities. Sail to bucket list ports like the Grand Turk, St. Martin, and St. Thomas, with Buckeye greats including Ryan Day, Bobby Carpenter, A.J. Hawk, the Boren Brothers, Ezekiel Elliott, Ryan Shazier, and more. Sailing from Fort Lauderdale, February 17th through the 24th. Call 614-792-6204 to book today.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Partly sunny skies, a bit of a breeze, and a comfortable Friday, and great for your high school football. Temperatures running in the mid to upper 50s in the afternoon, falling down through the 50s and 40s early tonight. By tomorrow morning, Saturday will be a frosty wake-up, a freeze warning in effect for much of central Ohio. Temperatures down around 32. We'll see more clouds and sunshine, but a decent Saturday, back in the mid to upper 50s. With your 10 weather impact forecast, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz on The Fan.
If you still have a weird rash from jumping in Mirror Lake, we can be friends. This is the Buckeye Show.
I don't know if anybody wants to be jumping in Mirror Lake tomorrow. Was that a frost advisory that I heard? We're in it now, Murph. Patrick Murphy, Matt Fontana with the Buckeye Show tonight. Taking you up just for about 10 minutes. So we'll get into some Blue Jackets hockey tonight. Dude, what a night. Jackets, Cavs, World Series, we got it all. The Caps and Ovi in town. I put together a little parlay there, Murph, tonight. So I like the Jackets to win. I need Zach Werenski. He's not put up a point in the last couple games. I'm going to go point for him. And I'm hot on this Adam Fantilli 2 shots a game.
Okay.
He scored last time, obviously, but I'm liking him shooting the puck there a little bit.
I like it. And you mentioned Mirror Lake. There was a time when that was my favorite thing to do every year. That time has passed me by. They also don't allow you to do it anymore. So I don't advise going to do it, but once upon a time.
My wife is a proud graduate of the Ohio State University. She has been in Mirror Lake, so that's something that, it's like that thing, like generational thing, because, she's like, I got to do it. Now nobody gets to do it, so there's a lot of pride that she got to do it. But it's going to be a chilly one tonight. Stay on in, crack yourself a nice beverage, and watch all the sports tonight. Murph, thought it'd be interesting to take a look ahead as we get ready for the unofficial second half of the season. And it really, I wanted to start just kind of with this commentary, like, with the college football playoff, with the games added, with the Big Ten championship, like, we are getting close to mid-season of the NFL season, and I thought about it, I'm like, it's actually kind of the mid-season for the college season if you really do plan on playing all the way to the national championship, which I think Ohio State will be. And it's crazy to say that Halloween's next week, and you're about halfway.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast time flies. Somebody said it to me before the Wisconsin game, like, oh, they're through half the season, the regular season at least. And I was like, man, wow. And I haven't even thought about the fact that Halloween's next week. So, especially when you're in it, I think the off season tends to go a little bit slower as we all wait for Ohio State football to get back. But once you get going, I mean, the Texas game felt like it was yesterday, and getting ready for that and everything. So enjoy it while it's here, because it goes quick. I try and do that every time we're out there, whether it's a home game or an away game. But it's you got to enjoy the short time that is the college football season.
Wanted to talk about some of the players that maybe we've circled a little bit for this second half of the season, because certainly we've had, the explosion of Carnell Tate. We've had Arvell Reese show up in a big way. Jeremiah Smith still there. Caleb Downs, Julian Sain for the game that he had for Wisconsin. So I'll throw it to you to start, Murph. Is there a player or maybe even a position group that you've kind of circled for maybe this bye week to see, did the team maybe focus on some things, or this is a real key player for the second half push here?
Yeah, there are a few that I would name. I'll start with Max Clare, who I think has started to pick things up. The tight end who transfers from Purdue had, I think he was third team All Big Ten last year. Really good season for the Boilermakers, but was the focal point of that offense. And knew coming in that that's not what he was going to be. He wanted to become a more all-around tight end, but I think there's still an opportunity here to use him a little bit more in the pass game, especially as you get into the postseason, when teams are going to, you're going to face better defenses that are going to try and do things to take away some of the top receivers. So I think Max Clare, he could just quietly put together a good regular season, but make sure you're ready for the postseason. I really liked what I saw from Isaiah West, the freshman running back against Wisconsin. I know they're trying to figure out that run game still. Is he a potential answer there as somebody who can make some guys miss? I certainly would like to see a little bit more of him. And we mentioned yesterday on the show, Kenyatta Jackson. He was
I had to, yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy who we'd heard a lot about heading into the season, and like statistically, he hasn't had the season of Caden Curry or other defensive ends Ohio State has had. And I think that has been somewhat by design, because they've used him to sort of contain quarterbacks, dual threat guys that they've faced. I think there's an opportunity down the stretch for him and Caden Curry to continue what he's doing, but Kenyatta to kind of come alive and, have sort of similar to what we saw last year with Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau, like that, especially during the stretch run. Those guys were really important for Ohio State, and I think that could be the case again.
I thought about that whole D-line, to be honest with you, because, again, Caden Curry, kind of another guy like Arvell Reese, has exploded onto the scene. A lot of accolades now, deserved so, but even some of the backups, like Houston, I look at. Bo Atkinson, I thought might have a little bit of a bigger role on this team, but still some time to carve that out. You mentioned, West. I'm going to go with the other freshman running back in Bo Jackson, and you're right. That running game, and whether or not they make that change with Tegra, whether or not they put Padilla in there to try to figure out what they want to do with that run game, I just you're going to go as far as Julian Sain takes you. You're going to go as far as Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, but just how easy it could make things when that run game gets it figured out. And part of it is the offensive line. The other part is the back, and I'm excited about what I see with Bo Jackson. Doesn't mean Donaldson's not going to play. Same thing with Peoples and West, but Bo Jackson's one that I'm excited. I got this itch. I got this little thing about him that I'm so excited to see him kind of develop over the second half of the season coming up.
Yeah, he just runs the way you expect an Ohio State running back to do it, right? Like, it's hard. He's, running through guys. If he's getting hit at the line of scrimmage, he's at least getting a couple yards. So you like that, especially out of a freshman. Now, you haven't seen him in the biggest of games yet. We did see him against Illinois, and he was a little banged up, so wasn't 100%. How does he respond to that? Ryan Day's talked about, him stretching out the ball and things like that to try and get more yards, and you can't do that because you might fumble. And so these are things that he's got to learn, and, you have a week like this to really sort of emphasize those type of things. I think, and get healthy, I think, is a big thing for him. That could be a guy who really does help them down the stretch here. And look, he's a freshman, so I think everyone always gets excited when a freshman starts to flash early, and hey, he can help us this year. But we've also got at least two more years with him, which is something you don't have with other guys as they come along later on.
Murph, this is hard to say that Monday's Penn State week, and it's just not the game that we thought it was going to be. Not at all because of Ohio State, but just the complete and utter nosedive that Penn State has taken, where this is now what was going to be a marquee matchup to a trap game. Like I'll take my shot because I just cannot stand Rutgers. Purdue and UCLA. Like, that's kind of the games that Ohio State has until they get to the Michigan game. And I just never, ever thought we would be there with the Penn State game. Like, I expected that to be a night game at the Shoe and potentially be a blackout to counter their whiteout that they do at home. And I get none of it now, Murph, because Penn State is just nothing at this point.
No, it's wild. And I've talked to our guys that cover Penn State for the 24/7 Sports Network. Like, we'd been looking forward to this game. We all like to work together those weeks, and now they're so focused on like a coaching search and stuff. Yeah. It's like we're hardly even thinking about the games during game week. Obviously, next week will be different. And I do think, look, what does this look like? This is maybe Penn State's Super Bowl, so to speak. I imagine they come out at Ohio Stadium next week and play like a different team. Now, I still think Ohio State should win the game. They're playing with a young quarterback and all that, no coach, but I imagine you'll see the best version of Penn State against Ohio State, at least for some of that game.
Yeah, it's a great point, too, because, again, that was something that was even built up as the season was going on, and just everything has gone bad for Penn State. But to try to grab a little bit of momentum, that's all they got left. And the one thing, Ryan Day does a lot of great things, but one thing, he usually doesn't lose those type of inferior teams. We'll see how it goes. All right, that's it. Short version of the Buckeye Show. We got Blue Jackets hockey coming up, Capitals tonight. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll start Penn State, Ohio State week on Monday. Murph, always a pleasure. This has been the Buckeye Show on The Fan.
The Buckeye Show is sponsored by CareSource, proud to be your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan.